and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Welcome to your main newscast right here in Kaieteur Radio for Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. I'm Kevin Smith. In your news today, American energy company Hess Corporation has put Guyana on notice that the fifth project targeting 1.3 billion barrels of oil in the Stabroek Block's Uaru field will cost way more than $10 billion US. The company issued this forewarning about the most expensive development to come during its 2022 third quarter earnings call. Hess executives told shareholders that they were able to insulate development costs for Payara and Yellowtail to some extent from inflationary pressures by locking in key contracts early. In fact, Hess said its partner and operator of the block, ExxonMobil affiliate Esso, has done an excellent job of offsetting any inflation through a series of efficient strategies. And moving on, Dr. Joey Jagan, former supporter of the APNU-AFC coalition government and son of Guyana's past president, Cheddi Jagan, does not believe that Guyana is on the path to success being governed by the PPP. He is equally adamant against the coalition administration, which he says failed to deliver results in at least two key sectors of the country while in office between 2015 and 2020. He shared that Guyana desperately needs leaders like his father who would be honest and do their job for the public. The story about Guyana is not oil and gas. We are a country that is rich in history. We are a country that will be, and mark my words, a leader in food security and agriculture, and importantly, we will be among the best ecotourism destinations you can find. Those were the words made by President Irfaan Ali in an exclusive interview with Middle East news outlet Al Jazeera last week. While the president has made it clear that his focus is not on the country's oil and gas resources, but on boosting agriculture and tourism for the country, leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton has warned that the head of state is making a fundamental mistake by not fixing his attention on that area to ensure Guyanese get more for its wealth. And advocate for a better oil deal, Glenn Lal, has criticized President Ali for what he said was a missed opportunity when the Guyanese leader, during an interview with Al Jazeera, told the world that this country's story is not about oil and gas, but rather ecotourism and agriculture. Despite his bold declaration, Guyana over the years has struggled in both sectors. An analysis by this year's mid-year report showed that 8 contributors to the nation's GDP, or gross domestic product, have declined between 2019 and 2022. These include sugar, rice, other crops, livestock, forestry, gold, manufacturing, and the services sector. And moving on, the overseas-based Guyanese who went missing at the Oranduke Falls during a birthday outing on Sunday has been identified as an NYPD officer. Missing is 43-year-old Gladstone Haynes. According to the New York Post, Officer Haynes worked for the 70th Precinct in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and was a serving member of the NYPD for the past 17 years. Both the Guyana Police Force and the members of the Guyana Defense Force have launched a search operation to find Haynes, who disappeared after going for a swim at the Oranduke Falls in Region 8 sometime around 15 hours on Sunday. And now let's tell you, a minor, identified only as Busmouth, was on Tuesday chopped to death during a drunken brawl at Konawaruk Dam Region 8, located some distance away from the mining town of Madia. It is understood that he was drinking at the Backdam's Landing when he got into an argument with a group of men. A fight broke out between him and the men, and according to reports, he collapsed after one of the men chopped him to his neck. He apparently bled to death, still clenching a large knife he had armed himself with during the fight. With the time now moving on to 12 hours 8, we'll take a short break and return with your news.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Diana, join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show only on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
Welcome back to your news at noon. A minor who was 1 week ago found guilty of raping an underage girl back in 2019 is now facing another rape charge. The convicted rapist, 28-year-old Raphael Dube of Airy Hall, Essequibo Coast, Region 2, was charged on Friday for raping a second underage victim. He appeared at the Anna Regina Magistrates Court before Magistrate Esther Sam and was not required to plead to the indictable charge. The court heard that Dube had allegedly raped another female minor on April 6, 2022. Bail was not granted and Dube will have to return to court on November 18th. Meanwhile, the convicted rapist is awaiting sentencing for raping his first underage victim in 2019. In other news, the local content secretariat disclosed yesterday that earnings for Guyanese nationals and companies in the oil sector are well over $129 billion. It said this follows a preliminary assessment of its data thus far. Secretariat Director Martin Pertab said the figure represents 23% of Guyana's $552.9 billion budget for 2022. Additionally, the local content secretariat revealed that it has issued some 354 local content certificates to suppliers of the nation's oil and gas sector. This document confirms that the regulator is satisfied that the holder of the certificate is a genuine Guyanese national or Guyanese company. And now let's tell you, customers and the owners of a sports bar located at Farm, West Kanji, Berbice were left traumatized after armed men invaded the business place Monday night. The victims were robbed of an undisclosed amount of cash, gold jewelry, and other valuables. Owner of the Suraj Sports Bar, Yugita Hemchand, said that it was a normal night with over a dozen customers. On the night in question, Hemchand said she was at the Superbet when she saw a burgundy car pull up and parked across the road, blasting loud music. The occupants of the vehicle were not visible. She said they moved away from the Superbet and went to her shop to attend to customers. She then noticed the men running towards the shop. She said she quickly reacted to save herself and family who were already in the house. Police are investigating the matter. And in other news, another nationwide cleanup exercise has been set for November 12th to allow willing Guyanese to participate in the beautification of the country's roadsides, neighborhoods, dams, and trenches. The exercise will be led by the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Dharamlal. The cleanup is currently being organized by the National Enhancement Committee, of which Dharamlal is a member, and is scheduled to begin at 6 hours. The group aims to simultaneously clean up the 10 administrative regions of Guyana. With assistance from non-governmental organizations, the private sector, the joint services, and national and non-national volunteers, the ministry, which bears responsibility for 10 regions, intends to coordinate the exercise through the regional democratic councils, municipalities, and the neighborhood democratic councils and community development councils. And it is time we close things off as usual with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. Recalling Charan Das, recall the Vice President. Yes, this man made himself look bad, but he is not the only one. the vice president should do the right thing, and that should be the president, should do the right thing and recall the vice president, Barajagio. Recall the vice president and reassign him to Soku. There, the vice president can crack the whip and deal with people he finds offensive. Recall the vice president, he offends Guyanese sensibilities. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.